Oh, there we go. We are live. And our stream is healthy this time. Okay. Seems like there's a little lag, but it says my status is excellent. So, here to talk about the Democrats' chances in 2026. Donald Trump going downhill fast. I see I got 562 people on my channel, so what do we got? Live chat. Democrats slipped 2 seats on Georgia's statewide Public Service Commission by wide margins, one of many surprise victories for the party Tuesday up and down the ballot in the handful of races across the country. Polling shows the Democratic Party is historically unpopular, but at polling places this year, voters have helped the party overperform in elections against the backdrop of President Trump's even less popular policies. Beyond the blowout victories in the New Jersey and Virginia governor's races, Zohran Mamdani winning a majority of votes in New York City's mayoral election, and California voters approving too fast. And California voters approving a plan to temporarily withdraw the state's congressional districts to add Democrat-leaning districts. The party continued its trend of electoral success in the 2025 general election. Here are some other notable election results around the country. In Georgia, Peta Hubbard and Alicia Johnson will be the newest members of the state's 5-person public utility regulator, after earning roughly 60% of the vote. That's crazy. Even like dumb seats like that won. Pennsylvania's voters chose to retain 3 state Supreme Court judges that were first elected, and that's a big deal. Those state Supreme Court judges. Because they could keep the Republicans from, what they're trying to do is rig the elections in each state by crazy gerrymandering and putting in voter ID laws, which, voter ID laws, they sound, whoa, what's wrong with the voter ID? But what voter IDs do is voter IDs hurt minorities because there are more minorities and older folks that don't have the proper ID. Like if you don't have a driver's license, if you don't have a state ID, if you don't have a passport, all that costs money and time to get. Pennsylvania voters chose to retain 3 state Supreme Court judges that were first selected as Democrats after millions of dollars in outside spending driven by conservative billionaire Jeff Yass. Efforts to reshape the state courts politics. Jeff Yass's efforts to reshape the state courts politics is another one of these crazy conservative Christian billionaires trying to take over our country with this religious dogma. They want a Handmaid's Tale type thing going on here. Democrats also won special elections for a seat on Pennsylvania's Superior Court. and a seat on its Commonwealth Court. Also, Pennsylvania Democrats swept the top row offices in the purple-hued Bucks County, elected the county's first ever Democratic district attorney, and defeating an incumbent Republican sheriff a year after Trump narrowly won there. Democrats similarly, why can't I say that word tonight? Notched commanding victories in county executive races in Erie, Lehigh, and Northampton counties, all bellwether counties in recent presidential elections. At the state legislative level, Mississippi Democrats have broken a GOP supermajority in the state Senate after flipping 2 seats in that chamber, plus another pickup in the state House. A federal court ordered lawmaker to redraw 14 total House and Senate districts after finding the maps drawn in 2022 discriminated against black voters. Oh, what a surprise. They discriminated against black voters in Mississippi. Is anybody shocked? I'm not. Democrats have also vastly expanded their control of the Virginia House of Delegates, and in New Jersey General Assembly, the party gained a supermajority. In many local races across the country, Democrats touted victories that will reshape their communities, like the flipping of all 3 county seats in Georgetown, South Carolina, the unseating of the last remaining Republican city council member in Orlando, Florida, and winning back mayoral race in Connecticut. This is really a big deal. I mean, it's just all politics are local. Have you ever heard that? The local level politics are a really big deal. It's how, the Republicans have been controlling local level politics for a long time, and it's definitely hurt the left, no doubt about that. Like even like school boards and stuff like that. You remember the crazy stuff that went on with school boards a few years back. It's just insane. My neighbor's dog keeps barking. For the first time in a half a century, Democrats control the Onondaga County legislature that includes Syracuse, New York. Democrats saw a city council seat in Charlotte, North Carolina, switch parties for the first time since 1999. Come on, guys, I'm looking for 10 super chats by 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Can we hit that? Democrats across the ideological spectrum won 2. Beyond Mamdani's victory in New York City, the Democratic Socialists of America touted municipal wins for members in Detroit, Atlanta, and Cambridge, Mass., among others. Democratic National Committee Chairman Ken Martin previously predicted in an interview with NPR that the party's success in special election in 2025, where the party has overperformed prior margins by an average of about 14%, would continue into the midterm cycle. The important thing to remember is midterm elections are not a referendum on a party that's not in power, Martin said. So our numbers really don't matter here. Donald Trump is at an all-time low in terms of his favorability and his approval numbers. The Republican Party is as well. Tuesday's results also show that the economy and affordability continue to be top of mind for voters, and voters have registered their displeasure with Trump and congressional Republicans' agenda on that front. Correction, a previous version of the story said Democrats won a supermajority in both Virginia's House of Delegates and New Jersey's General Assembly. Democrats expanded their majority in Virginia and won a supermajority in New Jersey. So good news. What do you guys think about that? Good news for the Democrats. Good news for democracy, small d democracy. You know, the best thing to push back against an autocracy is the people to vote and to take power away from the autocratic regime like Donald Trump. Losing this election, and you know, you might not realize it, but he lost a lot of power by losing this election. Sorry about that. What do you guys think? Anybody want to chime in? No? Okay, let's read another one. Democrats win big in off-year election. I'll just turn the volume off for that commercial break there for a second. Come on, guys, tell me how you feel about Trump. Send me a super chat. Let's go. Let's go. My first live stream, not vertical. Oh, here we go.
He ran a brilliant campaign.
The president seemed to kind of give Zohran Mamdani a bit of a gift yesterday by saying that if he had to choose between essentially Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo in this race, he said that he would choose the Democrat every time. How was the Mamdani campaign feeling about that moment?
That was really a gift for the Mamdani campaign, and they are certainly using it in these last hours of the campaign.
If I had put us in a time machine and told you 5 years ago that Donald Trump was endorsing Andrew Cuomo over the Republican candidate for mayor in New York City, you might not have believed me, but that is exactly what Donald Trump has just done. The president also said that if Zohran Mamdani wins the New York mayor's race, he will not be contributing federal funds to his former home. He added a caveat there saying other than the minimum amount required. Here on Capitol Hill, the government shutdown is now hurtling towards a record-tying 35th day. Do you feel like there's progress here that is going to end this government shutdown?
This has all been about politics. I think this ends because the elections are over tomorrow night.
The White House is not casting it as a test of President Trump's first 9 months in office and what voters think of that. Instead, they're more in wait-and-see mode to see what the results are tonight and whether or not they want to tie it anywhere near the president.
Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
In President Trump's first response to Tuesday night's elections, he said that he bears no blame for those Republican losses and Democratic victories, and instead said he believes the fact that he was not on the ballot and the government shutdown are what's to blame.
I thought we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown.
Mr. President, you sound very frustrated by last night's elections. What are the takeaways for people in this room?
Thank you, Press. The president was very clearly frustrated with his party. This is the first time we have this explicitly heard the president say that he believes the shutdown is hurting Republicans and called on his party to eliminate the filibuster today. Both you and President Trump have touted how much money has come from the tariffs. So is it the argument that John Sauer made in court today that they are not designed to really generate revenue?
Tariffs are a shrinking ice cube. You begin with the tariff income because you put up the tariff wall. The ultimate goal is balance.
After seeing the results of last night's election, do you think Zohran Mamdani is a leader in the Democratic Party now?
Well, of course he is. He's going to be the mayor of the city of New York. 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Ordinary people can't afford health care. They can't afford child care. They can't afford the food in the grocery store. That's what Zohran campaigned on. It resonated with people. It will resonate with people in every state in this country.
Ready?
This is quite a ruling from this judge ordering the federal government to make these payments in full when it comes to these SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans who have kind of been left in the middle and the lurch of all of this. When it comes to the government shutdown, do you agree with the president that Republicans are bearing more of the blame than Democrats?
I put blame on both Republicans and Democrats for basically, Caitlin, I can't say it on CNN, but it's basically a you-know-what measuring contest between the men in leadership, and I think the country is sick and tired of it.
As concerns for the environment grow and our societies become more digitalized, NGK Insulators have created groundbreaking ceramic products for a sustainable and connected future. NGK Insulators, surprising ceramics.
Trump administration has been saying these cuts are about keeping the airspace safe. We just heard from Pete, airlines are not buying that in terms of this being a safety measure. What are you hearing in terms of safety concerns from your members?
Since the beginning of this shutdown, we have concerns about our safety and our security because while the government is requiring air traffic controllers and transportation security officers to come to work, deemed essential workers, all of the people who support them are on furlough. So we already have an introduced amount of risk right from day one. Then you layer on top of that not paying these people. They've already missed a paycheck and a half. They're about to miss their second full paycheck. These are heroes who have kept our system going this long, 38 days. But they're human beings and they will break. And they have to pay their bills. They have to take care of their own families when they've been working so hard to take care of all of us. So we're very concerned about our safety and security because we know there is absolutely introduced risk into the system. And we have been saying that the system will break because ultimately the system is human. And so we're concerned about that. But what I would also say, Erica, is that these are professionals. The air traffic controllers are professionals who slow things down on a regular basis based on the safety situation, based on the potential risks of continuing. Okay. So this is a move to cut this capacity in the system, but it's going to break anyway because at the end of the day, people cannot go on without getting paid.
Do you think your concerns are being heard by the administration?
It seems that the administration wants this shutdown. It seems that they have done this on purpose like they did in 2019, trying to create an argument for privatizing everything. There's been a dismantling of the government since January. There has been an attempt to demoralize federal workers, to get them to walk away. This is all about trying to break everything. So we need some leadership here. We need Senator John Thune to step up and be the leader that he should be. Stop these two manufactured crises, both the government shutdown, people not getting paid, being forced to come to work without pay, stranding people everywhere, leaving us in a less safe condition, and the collapse of our healthcare system if we don't extend these subsidies. Those are two crises that can be taken care of with one vote. That vote can happen tomorrow. We've been saying that for a long time, and it is time to get this over with and done. And this administration needs to stop playing games with American safety, health, and economic stability.
As concerned
Trump ally and Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik obviously has just launched her campaign for governor of New York. She's running against you to be head of the state, betting that a Democratic socialist in New York City is going to help her beat you. Here she is talking about you in multiple interviews that she gave today, Governor.
She threw New Yorkers under the bus and desperately endorsed Zohran Mamdani. She bowed to the communists.
When we saw a raging anti-Semite, pro-Hamas communist who wants to raise taxes, Kathy Hochul endorsed him and bent the knee.
Now, here's the thing, Governor. You took a big risk on Mamdani, right? I remember when you endorsed him, everyone said, okay, wow, she did this and she got out in front of everybody. Ahead of other established political leaders, you endorsed him. And you're going to take these incoming arrows like she is dealing out there over that. But as of tonight, Governor, Mamdani has not endorsed you for governor. Has he told you if that endorsement will ever come?
I would not worry about it. His position my position was, I don't want to talk about it till his election's over. I just saw him again today. He said, let's sit down and work on this together. So I'm not worried about that. But it is so rich that Elise Stefanik, who you defined as an ally of Donald Trump, not only is she an ally, she proudly says she's Donald Trump's favorite congressperson, voting with him 100% of the time. That means she owns this shutdown. She owns the fact that 3 million New Yorkers are desperately trying to figure out how they're going to feed their families because they're so cold and callous that they took away the SNAP benefits. She's the reason why we're having New Yorkers without health care. I'm telling you, yes, I endorsed him because I want to have a relationship with, I believe, who I thought would be the next mayor of New York, because I'm not going to root against New York City, unlike Elise Stefanik. I'm going to make sure that New York City is successful. That does not change who I am. I have strong differences. I will never stop being a moderate Democrat, but she will never stop being a Trump Republican.
Okay, so there were a couple times in your answer there, Governor, where you talked about distinguishing your views from those of Mamdani. But in the context of your conversations with him, right, and you referred to yourself as a moderate, right, which I hear I hear the contrast with a Democratic socialist. But, he has a passionate and fired up electorate now. And his endorsement could matter. I mean, do you feel that it's a sure thing? I mean, have you had an explicit conversation about it? Or is it sort of something that you both are dancing around?
I would just say, don't worry about it today. I'm not concerned about it. So that's all I will comment on the endorsement. But you can see from my attitude tonight, I'm not concerned about whether or not it's coming. But most importantly, he did light a fire under a lot of people who had never been energized and participating in the political process. This is what Republicans are afraid of. They've woken the sleeping giant of all these people who maybe sat on the sidelines for a long time. But Donald Trump and Elise Stefanik have motivated them to become a political force. And so this is what terrifies them. This is more people than ever before voting in elections, and they will be there next November. Not just in New York City, but all across New York, where Democrats won all over New York State.
So can I ask you about these policies where you differ? Because it's going to matter for New York State and for your bid to remain governor. And when you talked again about distinguishing yourself in terms of your views from those of Mamdani and yourself as a moderate, right? His agenda is incredibly ambitious. It is, as he has described it, a Democratic socialist agenda. Free childcare, free buses, rent freeze, the list goes on. I talked to him on Monday night. He said to me he hasn't wavered 1 millimeter on raising taxes on New York City's wealthiest residents to pay for some of that. Now, Governor, you have said repeatedly that you would not raise taxes. You said, quote, I've said there's no new income taxes. Do you stand by that promise?
Yes. Again, what I find so fascinating is all this conversation about how I'm continuing to lead New York State. I'm the one putting money back in people's pockets and cutting middle-class taxes, as I've done, and finding ways to support child care. These are areas where I'm aligned with Zohran Mamdani. And we'll work on this and build more housing so people can have a roof over their heads in New York City. But contrast that with Elise Stefanik, who has voted with Donald Trump time and time again to hurt people of our state. Now, she wants to take that record and run for governor, especially as we've seen this national trend of rejection of Trump policies. So I don't think there's a path at all. I know how to govern. I know how to do this. I will work with the mayor of New York City to deliver for people on affordability, public safety. I'm going to make sure that our streets and our subways remain safe, and I'll work in cooperation with him. He agreed with keeping the current Commissioner of Police, Jessica Tisch, who's doing a phenomenal job because our crime rates are plummeting. So that was an important step forward toward understanding that we can work on this together. I am not, unlike Elise Stefanik and Donald Trump, going to do anything to hurt New York City or New York State.
As concerns for the environment grow and our societies become more digitalized, NGK Insulators have created groundbreaking ceramic products for a sustainable and connected future. NGK Insulators, surprising ceramics.
I've had a lot of questions about the data, and I necessarily didn't want to give the data because some people might say, well, you're at 10%, it should be at 15%. Others might say it should be at 5%. It is not a science, it is an art that we're trying to deploy to keep people safe in the airspace. And we're trying to be we're trying to prevent the pressure that we now see building in the system. Some have asked what's happened in the airspace. So a few points that we look at that are sending us in the wrong direction. Right? So number one, loss of separation in the airspace. So that's the minimum distance we keep between aircraft to keep them safe. We've seen breaches, more breaches in regard to that loss of separation. We see more incursions on tarmacs throughout the country. And we have more complaints from pilots about stress from air traffic controllers and more complaints about the lack of responsiveness from controllers. So that data is going in the wrong direction, not in the right direction, which made us make the decision we have to actually take additional measures to reduce the pressure in our system.
No one knows Asia like we do. DHL.
Okay.
Excellence. Simply delivered.
I want to play for you what one person just told my colleague Jason Carroll this morning about how this has been playing out for her. She had a flight, it was canceled, moved to one airport, moved to another airport, and now she's almost out of luck. Listen to this.
I'm renting a car. I have to be back in Utah by Tuesday, and from what I hear with the counters, the airline counters and TSA, they literally said to me, if I were you, I wouldn't travel over the next 3 days. So.
And who said that to you?
At the airport. So what is a flyer to do if they can't control takeoff and landing?
For travelers who are hitting the skies this weekend, we do expect there's going to be a lot of disruption, probably more than just the 800 or so flights that have been canceled so far today and the many more we expect this weekend. I really recommend, if you have to fly, do what you can to prepare. Download your airline's app, sign up for text messages, use the Where's My Plane